Hello again guys, this is Landro off of LandroeGaming coming at you with heroic Warmaster Blackhorn, 10 player with the guild Who Dares Wins. This was our first kill. It was a progression night within our raid. We managed to clear the first 5 heroics on the first night, so earlier this night I should say. This was at the end of said raid. We decided to have some goes at Warmaster. We wiped a couple of times whilst we were getting the hang of Twilight barrages and whatnot, but eventually we actually got a kill, and this is that kill. It's an incredibly fun fight for a healer. For an Atonement disc priest, it's even more so. You get to do a little bit of damage and stuff. There's plenty of healing going around. Your healers will need to do 22, 23k heals per second each. Your DPS will have to mitigate as much as the damage as they can. Twilight onslaughts hit really hard, and sometimes you've got a stacking debuff from the Twilight barrages, so you all have to stand in the Twilight onslaughts to spread the damage enough so no one gets one-shotted, and you all will have to use at least one raid-wide cooldown, be it Shield Wall, Rallying Cry, Priest Bubble, and that will have to be used every time a Twilight barrage hits. So the purple stacking debuff on my Healbot UI is when somebody gets hit with Twilight barrage, they get a stacking debuff, and if they can survive with one. If you get 2, and then the next one will basically one-shot you. So you've got to be aware of how many stacks you've got. You can't stand in Twilight onslaught if you've got 2 stacks; it will one-shot you as well. Add to that, you've got this fire that's going around the deck as the Skyfire takes damage from the Drakes. Lots of damage from the adds. The charge that the elites do hits very hard, so you need to make sure you dodge those. You have to basically stand in as many of the Twilight barrages as possible. You'll be assigned a certain area of the deck that you'll need to stand in, but you've also got to be aware that you can't take them on your own, because it will inevitably one-shot you unless you use a cooldown. So you've got to work as a team. You've got to react on the spot. If you see somebody or if you see like you're going to take one on your own and your teammate hasn't noticed, sometimes you have to step out. So it's really good fun. Lots of things to think about on top of crazy healing. And phase 1 is basically very, very complicated. Lots of stuff going on, lots of stuff to remember. You've got the sapper still going through all this fire, the adds, Twilight onslaughts, Twilight barrages, tons of healing, tons of DPS requirement. It's damn good fun, really, though. It is really good fun. One of my favourite fights in all of Dragonsoul as a disc priest was the normal version of this. The heroic is even more fun. It's fantastic, and I love Atonement here because you can stack up your evangelism. I did try and focus my smiting on the elite adds. I could have helped. We had a lot of range. We had enough range DPS for the Drakes. I could have helped on those, but you actually need the Atonement heals here, so you need to be healing targets that are close enough to be getting heals off on your tank and your melee as well. So yeah, phase 2 starts. Everything seems pretty similar, apart from increased damage at this moment. Your range will go over to the Drake, and then the second mechanic that changes kind of kicks in, and that's the fact that the Drake now comes and lands on the ship and has to be tanked. So it gets a bit crazy. This was actually our first time in phase 2, so massive credit to our tanks here, Canarius and Wookie, who managed to get this phase nailed, tank swapping Warmaster and the Drake where required, ensuring that they didn't get, I think 3 stacks is the limit you can get on the crushing armor debuff from Warmaster. So for them to do this phase, one-shot this phase, is quite impressive. As you can see, a very badly placed bubble there. I wanted to get both tanks. I slightly missed Wookie, so wasn't the smartest thing on my part. But just lots of damage going around. I'm smiting a Holy Fire to build up my evangelism, so I've got it there available as much as possible. People need to avoid the shockwaves. Sometimes somebody would get caught, which wasn't game breaking at this point, unless obviously your healer's getting, that's not ideal. But a little later on, as the fight progresses and Warmaster starts to hit harder and he starts to do his disrupting roar more regularly, if you get hit by shockwave and then just after a disrupting roar hits it, you're dead, as will be demonstrated in a little while here. Mana was a huge issue. I hadn't preserved my mana as well as I should have. It was for the first phase was basically just trying to get that phase nailed, so we come into phase 2 quite short of mana, but luckily enough we had a Shadow Priest Draxi who'd done a Hymn of Hope, which gave us a bit of help here, and obviously we potted and whatnot to give us that little burst of mana just to get us through the end of the fight. the longer the fight goes on, the harder Warmaster starts to hit, the harder the disrupting roars hit, the harder the shockwaves hit, the less mana you've got, all that kind of thing. So it's kind of like it's a race against time, really. But I really enjoy it. You know, it's a really good fight, really fun. It's just fun mechanics. It's just enjoyable. I like the movement side of things. I think that's good, but not so much as in Hagara, for example, when you're moving and you don't get a chance to cast. It's moving here, cast, move. It's a really good mechanic to have. But yeah, as I said, this was our first time in Phase 2. We hadn't spent a great deal of time. We spent one raid night on Warmaster, learning tactics and progressing, and then this night we went back there and decided to give it a go, and we got it down, which was a heck of an achievement. Touch go towards the end, but it's worth it. I'll let Vent through. I'll let the Vent conversation through now, because I'm sure you'll enjoy that. Show you some of the healing. So thanks for watching this video. Andrew out.
Seriously, nice to knowing that.
Yes!
Oh my god! Yes!
What the fuck happened?
I can get in there. And look, a Palapriest token.
And that's tough.
For a first time on that phase, that was brilliant, guys. Bloody fucking good focus.